Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to a new edition of New York by Night, various multiple venue editions. This is a random encounter scene where a new kindred is wandering around New York and seeing who he's bumping into. The night is heavy with clouds. The overcast sky barely permeates any light from the moon. Only the neon fluorescence of the street lamps give any indication of shape and form to the huddled masses of New York. A stagecoach pulls in with a hiss, and out of the transit bus comes a young man around his mid-20s, 5 o'clock shadow, unruly hair, a simple rucksack over his shoulder. He steps out onto the bus, into the Big Apple. He breathes in deep, taking in the sights. His home city of Baltimore was an industrial complex. Large spires of girders and cranes trying to rebuild the city. New York is something very different, vibrant, new. The skyscrapers pierce the skyline. The lights and the flashing entertainments bedazzling. Chris doesn't seem to be able to take it all in at first. Everything is so busy, so full of life. He decides to walk through the streets, eager to discover what's going on within this new city. He soon becomes lost, not entirely sure where he is going, but understanding his basic needs. He looks in one of the tourist maps describing the city and makes a shortcut. He heads through past the iron-wrought gates of Central Park to cut through the park itself as a pleasant distraction before heading to Manhattan proper, perhaps to pick up a hotel room somewhere or to hit the numerous nightclubs. His gait is casual. He occasionally stops and looks at the flower arrangements or the way the light catches the wildlife, seeing the ice skating park in the distance, closed now, of course, due to its lack of season.
Walking around the park are Aaron and Ragnar doing some patrols. Pretty quiet night so far.
Yeah, isn't it always a quiet night? Probably when it's quiet. You
Right.
just don't have to hunt anything. Not that I mind hunting, don't get me wrong, but it's nice just to relax.
Hmm. You'll get that.
Well, that strange smell.
Yeah.
You haven't been making kebab again, have you?
Not precisely.
Let's go and check it out.
Alright. So, hey, walk closer to this origin of this strange now.
You see a guy sitting on one of the benches, going through his backpack, pulling out a small notebook which is beginning to write in. He takes out a pack of Marlboro Reds. Carefully, seems to be afraid of his own hand for a moment as he lights his smoke. And then takes a large toke of the smoke and allows a deep exhale into the air, watching the smoke coil around in the light.
That's the guy. 1 second. And Aaron will activate his sense worm to get a clear clue. Success! But since the humanity is still not low enough, he doesn't smell too bad, but he's still weird. He's still weird. I've never seen him before.
Neither have I. Newbie? Maybe it's one of them, what would we call them? Leeches. Maybe it's one of them new ones, you know. Forget they're supposed to come here. Maybe we should go and scare him.
Right. You want to do the first on us?
Ah, why thank you. At this point I'll just roll intimidation.
You do know Paris has a population of 50,000.
Can I help you? What does he do? Does he just come up and glare at me?
He's trying to look intimidating, but considering he's botched it, what Ragnar thinks is intimidating seems to just be more hilarious.
It's not a botch, it's just a failure.
It's just,
I think he trips over his coat or something.
It could almost, if it was a botch, it could look like he was trying to come onto you instead.
Chris sees a pair of gruffs come up to him, trying to look intimidating. He smiles at his smile. You're right, guys. Sorry, I don't have any money.
That roundabout with the odd free on.
Ragnar's just going to turn to Aaron. Does he think we're homeless?
I think he does. Weird. Any case, what are you doing here?
Just having a smoke, mate.
Right.
Having a good night?
Yes, well, you're not supposed to be here.
It's a free park, isn't it?
Not for your kind.
What do you mean, my kind? You racist.
Very much so. He's Egyptian, by the way.
Alright. Not wanting to cause any trouble, he puts up his hands, because I'll leave it anyway.
Alright. I'm just gonna make a perception primal urge roll. 2 successes. You know, don't come here again. You might just lose that life you just got back.
Say what?
Exactly what I just said, my friend.
What do you know about it?
Well, I try to end lives like you.
I see. Tough guy, huh?
Tougher than you think.
Aaron will just look around if there are any other people in the park at this point.
Probably early in the evening there might be a couple of people walking to and fro. It is like a public
Yeah, it is.
path and such.
There are too much people here.
No, sounds about right.
Hey, Aaron.
Huh?
Do you want a pet dog for a scene?
What?
A pet dog, you know, you're just walking your friendly dog that you can't control too well.
Ah, really? Alright, go for it.
Ragnar's gonna walk into a bush.
You muted, my friend.
And a white dog appears next to Aaron and seems to start growling at the intruder in the park.
What the fuck?
I told you, you're not welcome here.
What are you?
Are you now going to leave or no?
He looks at the dog, snarling. Not the greatest first impression of the city. He starts to back away slowly, but not keeping his eyes off the dog.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess that's enough of a head start.
With that, the wolf dog starts just slowly trotting. Nothing too menacing just yet, but just enough to keep the intruder on his toes.
Once again, Chris, panicking, his eyes suddenly turn a reptilian yellow.
Oh, 1 second. Three successes. I will roll my rage at this point.
Okay, roll a willpower roll, please. Wolf, DC 9.
Ah, bloody hell!
I got 1 success on my rage roll. Now for another little roll.
That's failed. Don't.
Your wolf is mesmerized. You simply just stop where you are. You cannot seem to look away from Chris's eyes. Seems to hold you in place as he starts to back off much quicker now.
Aaron will spend a point in Gnosis to activate one of his gifts, named Speed of Thought, and he will try to throw you to the ground at this point.
Okay, initiative, I suppose.
Sorry, Matt, but you've just done the one thing that you should not have.
Yeah, but this guy doesn't know that.
I know. Great.
I think that'll probably be first. That will be 4 plus 2, 6, so that'll be 8 for me.
I got 16.
Okay. What are you up to?
I am going to throw you to the ground.
Okay, I'm probably not gonna. Oh no, so let's just to speed up the grapple roll. Let's do a resisted strength and
Resistance roll.
strength and brawl.
Cool.
Right, so 5.
I only got 1 success, so
I only got 1 success as well.
defender wins.
So you try and grab him. He pushes you away, and on his turn he starts to run with all the speed he can manage. So we'll roll Dex and Athletics. Oh, goddamn ones. So yeah, he starts running at a pace.
Do you want me to roll as well to
It's up to
catch
you.
up to you.
It's up to you.
Because he's going to go after you and he's going to throw you to the ground. Well, try to throw you to the ground again.
Mm-hmm. Unless you're spending a rage point, then do the roll.
Actually, yeah, I'll spend a rage point just to have an extra action.
Cool. So you catch up to him easily.
Well, I can also not just spend a rage point and roll it, but I'm pretty sure I will catch up to you as well.
Okay.
Because I just activated a gift called Speed of Thought. It doubles my movement speed.
Oh, right.
And I have a merit which doubles my movement speed, so I currently move at 4 times running speed.
Oh, no worries then. So yeah. Another opposed.
Yep. 2 successes.
3 successes.
Alright, you got it.
This guy's, although he looks quite slight, is pretty strong. And although you get a good grip on him, he turns the grab and throws you off again. What are you doing for your extra action?
We'll go for a grab again. I think by this time Ragnar can move as well, so...
Okay. This time he will spend a blood point to activate his potence.
Cool.
So
1, 2, 3, 4.
I only get 2 successes, so you grab me
All right.
easily.
I'm going to throw you to the ground and keep my hand over your eyes.
Okay. Roll me a just strength damage.
He's not trying to damage you at this point.
All right. So you do. He lands with a thunk on
Yeah.
the tiled pavement. He lets out a whimpered cry. He has his hand across his eyes. He snarls.
You damn Setite!
What the fuck?
I'm gonna make another rage roll. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
At this point, Ragnar's going to come into the rescue and push Aaron off using the falling touch.
Then I fall onto this guy.
No, because he's going to push you with his paw, so he's going to push you over him, so you've sort of both flat on the floor. You've technically got Ragnar on top of you.
He's just getting all... Yeah, that was 4 successes on the rage roll. He's frenzying at this point. That's just... Fuck. And I've got vengeful towards Setites, so yeah. He starts getting... The hair starts growing a bit.
I'm going to roll his willpower not to be transfixed at transformation. Yeah, he's as fascinating as whatever this thing's coming into it. His instinct tells him that it's a bad idea to stick around, and so he's going to start running the other direction. A shambling run.
How long does Falling Touch last?
Let me go and double check. Wrong one. I wasn't planning on using any ifs. How long does it last? Falling touch. It doesn't say.
Let's see. Arun gets. Yeah, it doesn't say. What we can do is that we can do the answer as soon as you get off me.
Well, if it's a touch thing, it might last until he kind of steps off, until he breaks contact. I'm not sure.
True.
Yeah,
I mean, the the Setite gifts last until they break eye contact, so could be until he breaks physical contact or does something aggressive to you.
No, it's
'Cause
not
presumably-
aggressive.
Because presumably, if he had hold of you with one hand and was punching you with the other, then you'd get then it wouldn't stay.
Very true, but Aaron's basically screaming, "Kill him!"
This point, Ragnar will do you a favour and will. There we go, that's more like it. With 2 successes, he's just going to growl and try and intimidate you down. He's going to try and intimidate you out of your frenzy.
I will. It's not happening. He got 4 successes on a frenzy roll, and he got vengeful towards Setites. It's not happening.
Damn it.
Meanwhile, the guy just running away.
Run!
He's running. He's running.
I'm just gonna
He
try.
will- They put a blood point in it. His dexterity. Is it strength or dexterity for running?
Dex.
Dex.
Plus, if he's out of sight, you might be easier to get out of frenzy. So
That's
once you've run far enough, it
Also
might
very
be
true.
easier
Let me roll
for Ragnar
willpower.
to growl you down.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's 3 successes. No, 4 successes on my willpower roll.
How far is it out of the park?
It's in the park.
Yeah, but how far does he need to go?
Say 3 successes and he's out.
Okay. He runs. Runs like the wind. With 6 successes, he zooms out of the park, past the incoming traffic, down an alley, and hides behind a dumpster, activating Obfuscate 1.
Aaron at this point has gone a bit calmer, and the hair starts to go back into his Glabro form. Since he was in Glabro form all the time, he has fair Glabro after all. Ragnar, get over me now.
Ragnar jumps off and just sort of, in native tongue, just goes, "Don't do that again."
That was a Setite, a child of Sutek. Where is it?
Gone. And don't bring none of your false Egyptian mythology to me. There's only one chaos god, and that is Loki.
Sutek was worm spawn. Cursed my tribe. And he will just run after what he thinks was the direction of Chris. Very, very quickly. As in bolts.
So, Chris hears a voice behind him. What have you done to the fuzzy wuzzies?
Chris leaps out of his skin. Let's have a look if he...
You see a normal man, like on the picture.
2 successes. He doesn't quite crap himself and attack. He turns around in a blur, goes down on his haunches as if he's prepared to fight, seeing this rather unassuming gentleman in front of him. The what?
The fuzzy wuzzies.
What on earth is that? Some kind of Muppet?
No, they're some kind of wolves in the park.
There are wolves in the park?
Well, it must be something special because normally they don't attack people like that.
And what are you, the Cuddly Wuddlies?
No. I am just somebody who doesn't like them.
Well, it seems that means the feeling is mutual.
But what are you?
I don't know. the guy said something. Called me a Sedite, whatever that is. Suppose in, I suppose in layman terms, I'm a vampire.
Oh, one of them, one of the leeches. Well, I don't know what a Sedite is, and frankly, I couldn't care less.
Neither do I.
But, you're new here, right?
Is it that obvious?
Well, normal vampires go into the park once. They don't always come out.
Well, I consider myself lucky.
Yeah, the Egyptian guy is looking for you, by the way.
Yeah, well, I'd rather not have to tangle with that if I can help it.
Well, might be able to help you there.
Why would you help me?
Yeah, I wonder that myself.
So what exactly are you if you're not one of my kind, not one of them?
Let's just say I'm a protector of humanity.
Ah. Okay.
And well, I will give you a different warning. The park is their domains. Brooklyn is my kind's domain. I would stay out of there.
Is there anyone in the city that doesn't hate us? Or doesn't hate me, rather?
Well, the humans hate you. If they knew you existed. Well, your kind usually is around Manhattan or Midtown somewhere.
I'd rather avoid my kind if possible, but if it's that, I'll die.
Why do you hate those bloodsuckers?
Not all of us chose this life.
Well, I also didn't suspect to. I didn't figure out it would end up here. But if you stay alone, I think you will be eaten one way or another. I would seek refuge by your kind. Or else you might want to have another meeting with the Egyptian dude.
So what's your angle in this?
Me? I was simply watching the fuzzies.
Why?
Because they have a tendency to go apeshit on humans. And on my kind, but that's less of a problem.
So, if they're so dangerous, why aren't you guys doing anything about it?
Well, that's quite simply, it's about, well, it's a Cold War. You know the concept of MAD, I think.
Of mad?
Yeah, mutual assured destruction.
Oh, I see. So not so much of a protector of humanity over your own skin.
Well, I need my skin. Else there's nothing to protect with. But you know, I could get you out of here. Just because I'm in a good mood, I'll let you humor me, and let's say I want a favor later, because well, while Silas usually does what I do, I might need something else.
Typical devil's deal, huh? Get me out of this straight and go straight into the frying pan. I can handle myself.
I won't lead you to the frying pan. And I'm not a devil. I'm a fiend. There's a difference.
His jaw sort of drops there for a moment, closes again. Doesn't quite process. Right. Why should I be surprised?
Eh. So, are you going to take your chances with me? Or with the Egyptian dude? Because this is a dead-end alleyway.
Chris will strain his perception. He'll start looking over the different alley. The sense of dread of the hunting wolf closing in, sniffing. Sure, whatever, man.
Okay. Well, if you would be so kind to stand over here. And he points towards a door which is there. It's basically a back door of a Chinese restaurant. All you have to do is step through this door.
He looks at the door, looks at this strange guy, oddly, shrugs, and goes, fuck it, and walks through.
Okay, give me a second. I'm using the co-locate. Towards a different alleyway in Midtown. So I'm gonna pick up my.
So, can we assume that you ran out the Upper West Side area of Central Park or something, and you have now been zoomed over to Midtown?
It doesn't matter for a fiend. He can teleport people anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my Paragon power for the week, or rather, several times. I'm simply going to reroll this. Because that was a crappy roll. This, however, gets you there. And you step through a door, and the door goes to another alleyway. The sounds are different.
How'd you trick?
Well, a small trick.
Alright then. Name's Chris, says holding out a hand.
Thank you, Chris. I'm sure I'll be able to find you. Now, again, don't go into the park. And don't go up north. We control the Bronx. If we see you hunting there, we don't ask questions.
Understood.
And, well, Oscar will... He hasn't told you his name even, but he will go off to the alleyway and will disappear. Basically, I will stand into a puddle, do a teleport towards a location which is basically so familiar to me. It's almost an automatic success. But he will do that without nothing within sight.
Chris will stand incredulously at the strange being he's just encountered and worry that, in fact, that perhaps he probably made the wrong decision. At least with the Fuzzy Wuzzy, as his creature called it, he knew where he stood. This fiend, he has no idea about. Suddenly taking care of his own needs, he feels the hunger press into him. He had expended more blood than perhaps he needed to, getting away from the wolves. And so he wanders around Midtown, comes across a nightclub, going into his jacket pockets, pulling out some rolled up and crumpled bills. He heads in. The place is loud, suffocatingly hot, the stench and sweat of humanity pressed against each other as the cattle market goes on. Smell of cheap liqueur and spilt beer with a tinge of vomit assails his nostrils. He hates places like this. All flash and no class. A place for yuppies and students to rub shoulders. But his own needs come before his tastes. He stalks, looking for a candidate, someone on their own, someone who perhaps wouldn't mind company. He has a specialty in perception. With 4 successes, he sidles up to a young woman, seemingly well off, quite already inebriated, and rolls his charisma and subterfuge to seduce her. A couple of hours go past. Her name is Sally. She was here on a work due, but her friends have moved on. Recently upset due to her current fling going off with someone else. She got inebriated and fell into the arms of a monster. She's staying at the Hilton Hotel, apparently. Chris makes all the right noises. He nods, he smiles. He disarms her. His old training, taking it in. It sickens him that anything that woman taught him become useful. The sins of humanity are easy to play, and most are unaware that predators stalk the night, and most of them wear charming faces. As they walk, Chris begins to feel the hunger. They head towards the hotel. To keep himself looking more like the sheep, he has to expend more blood. He is barely holding in the hunger. They head up to the hotel room. Before the door even closes, his fangs descend, falling into the neck of the young woman. The alcohol and vitae pour into his throat, parching him. His beast recoils. Sated, he drinks deeply. He suppresses the urge down to finish off the last vestige, stopping the heart as it slowly turns to a minor flicker. He licks the wound close and pushes her onto the bed. Moves around the room. Undoes her blouse and rearranges the furniture to make it look like she's forgotten the night entirely due to the alcohol. The whole scene makes him sick to his stomach, what he has to do to survive. Unable to bear looking at it anymore, he turns and closes the door behind him. Pressing his head against the hotel door, he sighs.
Lady Sheridan had just left her own hotel room and was heading towards the elevator when she notices someone leaning against one of the other doors. She raises an eyebrow, not sure whether to disturb him or not. Is there some problem?
Chris's head turns slowly, languorously against the door, seeing this strange woman come up to him. Unsure how to respond, he shrugs.
You know, if you're locked out the room, you should ask at reception. Willing yourself through the door won't work.
He smiles. Well, aren't you the Good Samaritan? He says.
On occasion, if the mood takes me. She'll smile.
You've got to be careful with who you help. Sometimes there's the devil itself.
Yes, but most of them don't tend to live around here, I think.
You think money, privilege, they're not trappings of a monster?
Monsters, perhaps. Devils, less likely.
He smiles and lifts his head against the door, takes a stuttering step. His victim had far more alcohol than he first envisioned. He stumbles slightly and then rebalances himself against the wall. Aha! This has been a night of Good Samaritans, it seems. But I was just leaving.
How very fortunate of you.
Is there something I can help you with? Or do you just
Not
like getting
especially.
into people's business?
Well, one should always keep track of one's neighbours.
Well, I won't be staying long. Seems this place is very unwelcoming too. And he stops himself and smiles.
She'll raise an eyebrow at that, and I am guessing that perhaps it might be a perception roll.
You can get a reception with that. He's too drunk to pretend to be mortal at the moment.
Okay, so simply perception alertness. So not her best skills, but we'll give it a go. Two successes, not that bad.
You can tell that although he seems to be acting like a drunk, there are certain mannerisms that are calling out to you. He sometimes forgets to blink in an uncomfortable way as he's staring at you. And when seems to be swimming in the alcohol, as drunks often do, he's not breathing.
You know, drinking from those who are drunk is generally a bad idea.
He looks up in a panic.
She is smirking slightly, but definitely not showing aggression.
He succeeds his courage. He's run into a few people today. Well, isn't this a busy night? Hi? Look, I'm leaving. I didn't know this was somebody's turf.
It isn't. This is merely where I'm staying while I get my turf in order.
Okay. So be cool?
I don't see why not. Assuming, of course, you're on the right side of the fence.
Ooh. What do you mean?
Well, which philosophy do you tend to associate yourself with?
Live and let live?
She'll seem to ponder a moment. Are you even aware of what I'm talking about?
Not a clue, love. He says, smiling.
Come with me. And she'll head back towards her apartment.
That's a little forward of you. Look, I'm sorry I didn't take.
She's walking. It's up to you if you follow or not.
He's a little confused, but seeing as he's got nowhere else to stay at the moment, and he's pretty confident he could probably take the slip of a woman if things go wrong, he follows.
I say that I'm staying here, she says as she opens the door to the apartment. I'm using here as a base for contacts with various people of our kind. So I'm not actually sleeping here. Of course, the windows are a bit of a problem, as I'm sure you're aware, or you will be shortly. But the bathroom is somewhat light-proof, and I'm sure that things can be put around the door to make it more so. There are a good selection of towels.
He looks around the room. I take it it's a door. It's like one of the higher class rooms.
Yep, give me a sec and I will pop it up for you. I've got a picture of it here if I find it. Where is it gone? It's always the case when you want to find something. There we go. So yeah, the windows would be a big problem if you were staying in the main room. But there is a nice seating area near them.
He picks up one of the little ornamental statues and mulls it over in his hands. Seems to be looking around quite incredulously at the opulence of the room. Are there any personal touches, or is this like really like blank slate?
Blank slate. You might notice that she's got a couple of changes of clothes here, but other than that...
Homey, says, putting it down.
Well, as I said, it's mostly for meeting people. Generally, it is advised to keep your real sleeping place somewhat more obscure.
Wander the corridors picking up men often, do you?
Not particularly. Though you are the second kindred that I've met in this hotel. Does seem to attract them.
Kindred, sorry?
Vampires.
Ah, now you're speaking my language.
Kindred is the generally preferred term. It's considered more polite, but to be honest, it's all much of the same. It's less obvious if you are to be overheard.
Look, don't get this wrong. I'm grateful. But why would you help me? I don't know you.
Perhaps you remind me of someone. It is something of a duty that many kindred forget to ensure that the young are taught the ways of the Camarilla. Or at least the basics. Have you heard that term before?
He shakes his head.
And I'm going to make another perception test, even though I know that you're probably telling the truth. And I'm going to spend a willpower point as well, because she does not want to get wrong on this one. It's a good job she spent the willpower point, but yes. The Camarilla is a society. The Sabbat is another one. When I asked you which side of the fence you were, that is what I was referring to. Of course, there is also the Anarchs and the Independents that choose to sit on the fence, so to speak. In the Camarilla, we have rules. We have order. In the Sabbat, they have significantly less so, and significantly less concern over the lives of those they have touched. Speaking of which, the person you fed on, are they still alive?
Yeah. He says he feels a little sick thinking about it. And takes a seat.
She'll sit opposite him, crossing her legs at the ankle. Ever the refined lady. Well, that is good at least. It is something that the Sabbat care a lot less about.
I see. So what are these rules? I see you've fallen into a couple of them already.
Well, there are the universal rules, which all of the Camarilla agree to abide by, and there are ones that are specific to the city. What do you think you have fallen afoul of so far?
Someone mentioned the Fuzzy Wuzzies.
The werewolves in the park?
You saying that those fuckers were werewolves? Aren't they like our distant cousins or something? Sure, some film on that.
No. They're quite different. But as long as we do not bother them, they generally do not bother us, which is quite unusual. In most cities, let's just say the likelihood of surviving a meeting with them would be much lower.
Yeah, they didn't seem too impressed with me.
Yes, well, don't go into their territory. But the more important concerns, of course, are the traditions, the ones that every Camarilla is expected to know and uphold. Of course, it's up to you if you choose to join the Camarilla, if you choose to join the Sabbat, or if you choose to remain apart from it all. But I would heavily recommend against the Sabbat. Of course, I may be biased. The first, and in my opinion the most important tradition, is the masquerade. You don't tell humans about vampires. That is the long and short of it. Although the more formal version is, thou shalt not reveal thy nature to those not of blood. Doing so shall renounce thy claims of blood. Essentially, you let people know that you're a vampire, that aren't vampires themselves, and people are allowed to kill you.
Alright.
Nothing serious. But it is for the protection of everyone.
Makes sense. I mean, who would you tell? I think you'd be crazy.
The worry is the ones that don't think you're crazy.
Chris thinks on the fiend he revealed himself to. He seemed to know much more than Chris ever would. And so doesn't mention it to Sheridan.
The second tradition, the domain. The more flowery version is thy domain is thine own concern. All others owe thee respect while in it. None may challenge thy word while in thy domain. Essentially, if a person claims a territory and the others within the city and within the Camarilla accept that claim, it's a bad idea to go wandering in and causing trouble. If you've claimed a territory, it is your responsibility to hold that territory, and anyone that crosses you within it, well, it's up to you how you punish that.
So how do you know who's got what turf?
That is generally discussed at Elysiums. For the most part, if you honestly do not mean to enter someone's domain, they are likely to forgive the intrusion the first time and explain the limits of that domain. I wouldn't rely on it, but most people understand that it's not exactly something that is signposted.
So where is it safe for people just to exist?
Well, I don't believe Midtown has been particularly claimed by any individual. If you were to stay here for a while. Just while you find your feet. You might be best off trying to find your own clan.
Huh. He scoffs. Yeah, me and my family don't talk.
You definitely don't talk. Do you know who they are?
Name was Sabina.
And her clan?
Looks at you blankly. Well, actually, he does know a little bit, so he's going to lie. Spend a will, because people tend to have an odd reaction. He's good at lying. Oh, did I get 4? 1 second.
That is 4 successes. So
That's
I'm
more.
not going to
He's got a specialty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 successes.
Oh, yeah, not even going to bother rolling mine. A caitiff, then. Well, you're fortunate to have run into me first. Some are less understanding. But as we were saying, the traditions. We'd only discussed the first 2. There are 6. You will want to remember all of them, but
Good lord, how many rules do you guys have?
as I said, 6. Not counting the regional rules of not entering Central Park. But that is really under the issue of domain, except that we accept the werewolves as having domain. The third tradition is the progeny. Thou shalt sire another only with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elders' leave, both thee and thy progeny shall be slain. Essentially, don't go making new vampires. You need permission from several rather important people to get approval for that. And whilst these days the progeny may be spared, it can often go badly for both of you.
Okay.
I'll have to address the matter of the fact that you're caitiff with the prince, but you can certainly stay here until that has been addressed.
There's a royal family now?
Not exactly. It's a term of respect for the most senior vampire in the city.
Okay.
The fourth tradition is the accounting. Those thou create are thine own childer. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. If you are given permission to create a vampire, you are responsible for that vampire until such time as you decide that they know enough about the world to survive on their own and to be responsible for their own mistakes. If they make any mistakes, it is your responsibility for not having taught them better until such time as you have released them. Not something that you're likely to have to deal with anytime soon. The fifth tradition... Oh, yes. Did you have a question?
No. He says he's sort of drifting off at the moment. He's fiddling around with a smoke.
You seem to be somewhat inebriated, so I will cut it rather short. The last two traditions are to seek the acceptance of the ruler of a domain when entering it. In the case of a city, that will be the prince. I will make certain to contact him on your behalf to set up such a meeting. And the sixth tradition is destruction. Basically, don't go killing other vampires unless you have been told that you're allowed to.
So if some asshole comes up to me with a shotgun, I'm not supposed to defend myself? I'm supposed to bow over?
You can defend yourself. Quite frequently, if such a situation happens, it will be taken into consideration. But try to avoid getting into a situation where it is kill or be killed. You are most definitely young enough that you are unlikely to be the one that succeeds in the killing.
If you say so.
Let's just say that when dealing with the vast majority of the vampires in this city, I would not stake my survival chances as particularly high, and I know who I'm dealing with, for the most part. The older a vampire becomes, the more powerful they tend to be. I'll write these down for you to give you better reference, but for the moment you might want to make yourself comfortable in the bathroom. And you'll get one of the notepads and write it down in quite neat handwriting. All 6 traditions.
He takes the paper and sort of weakly says, thanks. So I've got to meet the head honcho at some point then, I take it.
Yes. As I said, I will talk to him regarding the meeting and see what I can arrange.
Okay. I didn't quite catch your name.
I go by Lady Sheridan.
One of the royalty, are we?
Of that clan. But, no, it was more of a professional name before my embrace. That is the changing from a human to a vampire.
Well, I suppose we've all had dark pasts.
She'll smile at that.
Cheers. If you need anything, I mean, I don't know exactly what I can offer, but I appreciate it.
I quite understand. It's a situation we've all been in at one time or another. Most of us were fortunate enough to have someone help them through it.
He'll do a quick empathy perception on Lady Sheridan, because he's heard this sort of "I'm just here to help you" sort of thing before, and it never works well for Chris. 1, 2, 3, 4.
You'll get that whilst she can certainly consider the fact that you might repay her at some point, she actually considers it her responsibility rather than, she is not expecting something in return. She is hoping that it might happen, but she's not actually kind of she's not trying to use you.
She's been quite genuine.
Relatively genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Not entirely. She certainly won't say no to something, to asking for a favour later on, but she's not relying on it. She's doing it because she considers it a responsibility to do something. If you find someone that has no idea what is going on, then someone has to explain to them what's happening. And it's not like it's the first time she's had to explain this. So she will leave him there and head back to the apartment where she has actually been staying and make a phone call to Mr. Silas, who I'm not sure if he's online, but we could ask him if he wants to join in.
Chris will watch her leave, still suspicious over any sort of kindness or hospitality, despite her words, until the door shuts. He looks at the room incredulously.
Oh, by the way, she will have taken her key with her, but there is a spare one that is on the nightstand.
One
Most
of
of
those
the
card keys he expects.
Pardon?
One of those card keys he expects.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying because most of the rooms come with two, and while she'll keep one on her, she hasn't had a reason to take the other one yet. So it's still there.
He'll move over towards the balcony, staring out into the night city. Light his smoke and look down. Werewolf, fiends, vampires. What have I gotten myself into? And with that, we'll end the scene.